Hey folks, welcome to the Gardener's Workshop Live, our weekly Friday night get-together here on Facebook. And this week, our topic is flower farming Mythbusters. And friends, I am here to talk about this because not only did I have some of my own myths that are misunderstandings or whatever you want to call them, but based on the messages, the questions, and the posts that we're seeing, I just thought we're just going to go down the list of some of those really common questions or concerns that people have that really aren't true about flower farming, or it just may not apply. So before we jump into this with 2 feet, a couple of things. If you are already one of our online course students, we just love for you to make a comment and put the little sunflower emoji. That just helps people to kind of makes the community see who you are and see who others are. And that's something we do on all of our lives, and it's really fun. And if you see people that have more than one sunflower, those are folks that have taken multiple courses. So, you know, this whole flower farming Mythbuster, you know, there's myths that get said about all kinds of different things, right, in life. And I still hear some of the things that I learned were not true back 24 years ago or 23 years ago when I became a flower farmer. And so I'm just going to go down my list, and I would love if there is something that you've heard that somebody has said, oh, well, you have got to do it this way, or you can't be a flower farmer if you don't have, or if you can't, or if, you know, anything. So I want to hear it because we are going to be busting some myths wide open here. And y'all, you know, I mean, if you haven't been following along with me, I kind of just tell it like it is and just totally and completely want to clear the air of some things. So out of the gate, one of the questions that people say, and I have to just tell you this, talking to the person, the guy that does our weed eating and mowing here on the farm, he's a landscape kind of guy, and he mows our place, and he made the statement to me yesterday, oh my gosh, you can't do that. So what I'm talking about is how much space do you need to have available to you to make a go of being a flower farmer? Because I was sharing with him this little project that I was going to do and how small the garden was going to be. He said, no way, you can never do that. And so I'm here to tell you, friends, you do not need to have acres. In fact, what I have learned, my first 10 years of flower farming was done on less than 2/4 acre gardens. And we produced thousands of stems of flowers each week in season. So until you're flower farming and farming, not gardening, y'all, farming, you can't fathom how many stems you can produce from a garden that is set up as a working commercial garden. And I also want to add that in my years of experience, those of us that are forced to start small because that's all we have at this point in time are oftentimes those people that go on to be the most successful over the long haul. And why is that? Because nothing scares me for a person more than when they say to me, oh my gosh, we just got 5 acres and we've already plowed up 3 acres and we're going to plan to put, you know, annuals there and we're working on woodies, and oh my gosh, y'all, 3 acres is so much space. At the height of our high production years, we never had more than 1.5 acres in production. And we were producing 10 to 15,000 stems of flowers a week from those fields, and no normal person really wants more than that, right? So people just grossly underestimate that. So I'm here to tell you that if you're starting in your backyard, or if you only have a 1/16 of an acre or a half an acre or whatever you have, you can start your business and build from there. And I tell you, you learn to be a more efficient farmer, to get the most out of what you actually have. And I will tell you, just, I'll go down my first rabbit hole, right? Once years ago, my sister and I went to, back when I went to a meeting of the ASCFG, that's the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. It was we called them regional meetings back then. And we went to a farm here on the East Coast that was much bigger. This is when I only had those 2 quarter-acre gardens, and we were servicing several florists and going to a big farmer's market. So we go to this farm and we're walking around touring, and my sister, who's not really a gardener, farmer kind of person, she just did the bouquet making. Anyway, we're walking around this bigger farm, and when we got in the car to go home, she said, I'm thinking that you probably produce as many or more stems than they do. Theirs is just really spread out over a big area. And that, in fact, friends, is what oftentimes happens. So I want to say, you only have to have, you could do some subscriptions on a 20 by 25 foot garden space and get started. So that's number one. Do not think you have to have acres and acres. You can get started where you are. And another thing I just want to add, so we are landlocked in the middle of the city, right? We did have a neighbor that had a 40-acre horse boarding farm, and for a lot of different reasons, we never, ever, ever dreamed that we'd be able to buy a piece of that land. And we did. We were able to about 9 years ago. And so you never know what your future holds, but you got to get started, and you got to get started learning how to be a farmer. So here's another really big one, is I don't have a greenhouse, so I can't be a flower farmer. Y'all, I've been doing this now 23 years, and I still don't have a greenhouse. Everything I grow is outdoors in the field, and I do all of my seed starting work. I'm sitting in my work building, which I got this after, I think it was 3 or 4 years after I started farming. My flower farming actually paid to build this building. So you can be a flower farmer without a greenhouse, and also without hoop houses. So the difference, a greenhouse is a structure that typically has heat and is automated in some way. I mean, it has fans and sides that roll up potentially, but the big difference is it has heat. So greenhouses is what a lot of people assume you have to be able to start lots of seeds. So here in this building, and I did this literally in my bungalow home, in my kitchen, in my pantry, and in our cellar. I started seeds for the first, until this building was built in, I think the concrete says 2002. Well, I started flower farming in 1998. So for 4 years, I seed started in my tiny bungalow house, y'all. And also, of course, lived in there, right? And I was able to do that because of my experience that I came to know about soil blocking. But here in this building, what we set up is I have a 10 by 10 room that could be just like a spare bedroom that has grow lights and racks. And I can literally support up to 13,000 little soil block seedlings in that grow room until they go out to the field. So I'm saying to you, it is possible. Literally through the years, as we ramped up production and grew more and more each year, we were starting up to 100,000 soil blocked seedlings a year. That means like the cool flowers and the warm season flowers in 1 year in that grow room, and moving them through. Y'all, you just learn about the system and what you need to do. Now, hoop houses are structures that are usually just the wire hoops with plastic on them, tall, big, you can walk in them. And there is surely, what I want to also say about everything I am saying to you is these things that I'm saying you can start without, you will then start goal setting to get some of these things because they make you more efficient, more professional to be able to up your volume, okay? So I'm not saying you don't need them ever. I'm saying that you can get started and learn how to be a professional commercial cut flower farmer. And in fact, starting small like this is really the best way to learn. So a hoop house, what is different about that? A hoop house is typically where farmers will do one of two things, either actually grow in the ground, there's beds in there, and because of the structure covering, it protects the plants and the flowers from rain, gives you a little bit of season extension on both ends, and there are certainly benefits to that. But folks, I've never been able to do that. So I kind of made lemonade out of lemons and found how to squeeze the most out of field growing, and by doing that as a seasonal flower farmer, that's why I kind of, exploited cool season hardy annuals, wrote a book about it called Cool Flowers. I mean, we start much earlier in the season from the field and get a much better cash crop. And if you do get to have a hoop house, that's going to just give you more opportunities to do other things. The other things that flower farmers do in hoop houses is they grow in crates like bulbs, like lilies and tulips and different things. So hoop houses certainly are a benefit, but friends, you do not have to have a hoop house or a greenhouse to become a flower farmer. And then here's another really good one. I don't have a flower cooler, so I can't be a flower farmer. Well, folks, I am here to tell you that I was farming, you think I'd remember all these dates, but I don't. I was flower farming for about probably 6 or 7 years before I actually got a flower cooler. And so here is the workaround for this. Now, for sure, and you're going to hear, Monday, if you haven't seen it already, Jenny Love and I, if you don't know Jenny Love of Love and Fresh Flowers, she's like one of the foremost recognized farmer florist in the industry. She's a Philly flower farmer. She and I are doing a talk on Clubhouse on Monday called Two Flower Hustlers Talking the Hustle. Now, Jenny is a farmer florist. You would never attempt to be a farmer florist without having a flower cooler, most likely. But I was not a farmer florist. I was a farmer growing and selling to those types of people. And I just literally tweaked my crop production to those crops that I could get away without having a cooler. For instance, you would never grow tulips and peonies and lilies if you don't have a flower cooler, friends. I mean, I don't care how many customers you have. You will be a blooming hair, you'll have all your hair pulled out because those things open so quickly. So that's part of what we talk about in flower farming school. It's like there are tons of things you can grow without a cooler, but there are some things you just need to keep your hands off until you have a cooler. You goal set for that. You work towards that, and that's what I did. So you do not have to have a flower cooler. And I just can't even tell you how these things are so simple when you just go into it with your eyes wide open. And here's another really good one. I don't have a tractor. I can't be a flower farmer. Friends, I didn't have a tractor for probably 12 years. Now, I will livy that with saying I did have a tractor that had a plow, but we didn't really even use that in my garden for many years. Because my space was so small, you really couldn't use it. We actually inherited it from my dad. So literally, I used a walk-behind tiller. In my flower farming school course, I actually show you how to make beds by hand, meaning using a shovel, then how you can also do it with a walk-behind tiller, and then ultimately how you do it with a tractor with a bed maker. And it allows you to see where to meet you where you are now, but what you can aspire to. And all kinds of great ideas. Who knew that before I had a tractor, right here in the middle of the city, y'all, I do not live in farmland. I do not live with a lot of farmers even within an hour of me. And who knew that on my street in the middle of the city, there was a man that owned a tractor with a pull-behind tiller. guess what? I used to hire him to come down here and till my big gardens when we were starting a season each year. There are so many options, and that's one of the things that I just love teaching people about in school is about, that's a gift of being an entrepreneur. You just got to bloom and figure it out. And that's what we help you do for your situation. So you do not have to have a tractor, y'all. That is another really big myth. And then the other one that I think people really extend themselves on in the beginning is having some kind of vehicle, a delivery vehicle. So I launched my career on growing flowers and selling to florists. And that was 100% based on I was terrified to try to make mixed bunches, flat little handheld bouquets. I tried, and I was just such a bad maker of those things. So I decided that I would just 100% sell to florists because I could make, straight bunches of a flower, right? But I didn't have a vehicle. And so I'm going to tell you what I did, but I read and I see so much on social media, y'all. We see other people doing things, and first off, we assume that's what should be done. Nothing could be further from the truth. Oftentimes, many of the folks that we're watching really haven't even been in the game for but a couple, 3 years and really don't have a lot of experience. And I see people going out and investing in vehicles that are just for flower farming. I mean, I wasn't in a position to do that. I wasn't able to say, I'm going to make enough money to be profitable and to pay to buy a vehicle that my family can't use, right? So my fix for that, and I'll kind of tell you what my evolution was with a vehicle. So when I started, I was just delivering to florists. I hadn't started doing farmers markets or anything. This was in 1998, 99, and the year 2000. So my husband, Steve, actually had a pickup truck. But y'all have to know that this, for any of you people that know about anything about trucks, it was a 1978, this was in 1998, 1978 F-250 total redneck pickup truck. Big tires, 3-speed on the floor. The clutch was so tall I could barely get it to go all the way to the floor. And it sounded like the UPS truck coming down the road, right? So, I planted all these flowers. I had all these flowers. I had to find a way to get them to the florist that I had made contact with. So we literally bought a $100 mismatched truck cap. And my dad, who was a woodworker, made this really cool lightweight rack that we show pictures of, and I still have it. I haven't used it in years. But anyway, lightweight wooden rack that could just slide into the back of the truck that would hold the buckets. And y'all, that is literally what I drove for probably about 2 years. And that was the first purchase upgrade that I made as a flower farmer. So for 2 years, I drove that truck. I mean, my florist used to kid about, oh yeah, we know when Lisa's coming, we can hear her coming down the block, this big redneck truck, right? So the first purchase I made as a business person flower farmer is I bought a new truck. I still didn't buy a specific for flower delivery truck. I bought a new pickup truck, bought a cap that matched, and I used that same wooden rack. Because friends, here's the thing, the method that I used to sell my flowers is I didn't cold call. I sold all my flowers on the phone before they ever left my farm. And so that meant that I wasn't going from shop to shop, hemming and hawing and dragging flowers in and out. My truck was packed in the order that I delivered. And so for 3 years, that was my delivery vehicle, and it worked beautifully. I'm just sharing ideas of how you can bootstrap. I am by no means saying you should not start out as a professional, legitimate business. I am saying that you can bootstrap and nobody but you knows that you're bootstrapping. Yeah, my florist could see my truck, but let me just tell you that none of them had any idea until I had my first open house, probably about 2 years after I started farming. I invited my commercial customers to come on a Sunday to walk around my farm. They were flabbergasted over how small my gardens were. They just could not believe the volume that I sold to them, and that how small my space was. So friends, these are just some of the myths that I'm busting. You don't have to have a bunch of acres. You can have a small space. You do not have to have a greenhouse. You do not have to have a hoop house. You do not have to have a tractor. You don't even have to have a tiller. If you can rent the space. And you know, I also want to say that the people that start out that are driven enough, like I was, like Jenny Love was, these people that we literally had no experience. We weren't, Jenny did come from a big farming family, but did not have, I mean, she's in Philly, and she, like me, is in the middle of the city. We just did it. We were ambitious enough to find a way to do it. So I also want to say that at the head of this Facebook feed, if you want to have a little look inside my course, we have a sneak peek you can request. I think it's the irrigation session. You can request that and have a look. Flower Farming School is, registration is open. It opened at 8 o'clock this morning, and y'all, we've already been blown away. Registration is only open for 5 days a year. And people don't really understand why that is. First off, our courses are delivered over a 6-week period, meaning each week you get more and more sessions to watch. And each week you have a live Q&A coaching session with me. And we go through all the questions that have been submitted, and then I also take some from the floor if we have time that allows. And friends, the instructors are so interactive in that way, as well as we man closed Facebook groups. And because most of our instructors are actually still flower farming, right? So they can't do it for a lot of the year. So we only offer the courses once a year when the instructors are literally available to teach the class. Even though the courses are actually recorded, you still have so much interaction with your instructor. So the facts. If you're interested in the course, go to thegardenersworkshop.com. The course, the online courses is right there on the page. Go to my course. My course is the only one that's open now. Jenny Love's Farmer Florist course will open in a couple of weeks. Then a couple of weeks after that, we have Ellen Frost's Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing. And then after that is the Hoops, Grow and Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses with Steve and Gretel. So we do them one at a time so that people can really evaluate the courses, and that's what I want to encourage you to do now. Friends, there is so much information on the course pages. There's videos that you can watch. There are student testimonials. There's videos to watch, or you can read their success stories and their actual reviews of the course. What I want to say to you is that, are you a dabbler, or are you somebody that really wants to start a business? We have tons of people that are attempting to become commercial cut flower growers, but they just haven't taken that plunge. And I call them dabblers, not in any disrespectful way, but to say they're growing flowers and they're working at it. They're working so hard, but they aren't quite equipped enough to really do it. And then we have those that are. What I'm leading up to say to you, friends, is that I get this question all the time too, and let's just blow this one out of the water and put it to bed. Aren't there already too many flower farmers? Friends, if you knew the facts of the, excuse me, of the cut flower industry, you wouldn't be asking me that. Here are the facts. There is over $7 billion of cut flowers sold in the United States alone each year. That is 7 billion with a B, friends, not million. $7 billion of cut flowers sold in the United States alone each year. 80% of those flowers are imported from distant lands. There is no ceiling for the number of domestic growers that we can cultivate in this country until that number has drastically shrunk. And I don't think that'll ever happen even in my lifetime. That's the honest to goodness truth. What cut flower growers have to do is become professional. And y'all, that's a big part of my course. It's like, I know that people have never been business owners. They don't understand why you have to do the certain things that people tell you to do. It's like, I'm not doing that. That costs too much, or that's too much trouble. We really ground you in what to do and why you have to do it. We have to become professionals. We have to make it easier for the professional florists and designers to buy from us. You have to see just how easy it is for them to go online and buy from wholesalers. And friends, it has never been easier for us to get into this trade now. With the flower shortages, it is, Ellen Frost and I have been talking about this for like 16 months. It is now worse than ever. Florists and designers cannot find the flowers that they need. Their orders are being canceled. The problems that are causing that, I'm not going to talk about, but I will tell you this, it is not going to be resolved anytime soon, for years. And so now is our time to shine. And when we step in to these booths that have been left empty and show these florists and designers the quality and the quantity that we can produce, they have myths about us that you wouldn't even believe, y'all. And we have to blow them out of the water, and we have to do that through service, example, being honest and hard work, and showing them what we've got. And then even if the global supply chain kicks back in, they're already going to be seeing they have a better product, close to home, keeping the money in their community, so many things. So friends, what I want to offer to you is I want you to go to my course page at thegardenersworkshop.com and just take 20 minutes and just scroll the page and read all the different bits of information that are available. The syllabus is there. There's actually a podcast on my podcast, Field and Garden, on whatever your favorite app is. You can go there. And a podcast about 5 podcasts in, it's called Revealing the Flagship Course of Flower Farming School. And that is me running you through the syllabus of what each session is kind of about. That's another one. Keep looking. You can go all the way to the bottom of the page, and it shows you how you can go and see how our courses work. There's a podcast of me claiming the style of our courses. Friends, our courses are just like going to a conference. They're slideshows with a mix of video and images and talking. And our course is so jam-packed with information, I'm just gonna like explode your head. And so there's everything you need is on that course page. And I'm saying this because we get constant messages from people that aren't realizing that. So you just have to say, all right, I'm going to sit down here for 20 minutes and read the page and see where there's videos you can watch from our students. There are things you can read. There's how the courses work, what's in the course, what to expect, when it starts, how much it is. It's $595. We do have a payment plan. You can split it out over 2. So registration is now open, and it will be open until Tuesday night at midnight. And then it won't enroll again until next October. And friends, I want to tell you that if you are having flat sales, overcome with weeds, you still haven't figured out how to sell, and I can tell you it is not scary at all when you go about it in the right way, you need to take flower farming school. I mean, let us help you get from A to B in 6 weeks instead of it taking you a year, wasting money, wasting time, wasting energy, wearing yourself and your family out, and it just takes all your morale. And, I wanted to, and I've been talking a lot about this, we lose so many excellent potential cut flower growers because they never make it to the end of the long, slow road that they have chosen. And what happens is they keep spinning their wheels and they never get traction. They throw in the bucket. I read the posts all the time. Oh, you can't make money doing this. Well, you can't the way they were going about it. There are many of us it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. But you have to do the right things, and that's what we help you do, to forget about the things you shouldn't be doing. We're going to tell you to mark those things off your list. Friends, you do not have to work from sun up to sundown. You can have a life. You can be a flower farmer, be focused, and make it a part of your life, not to be your life. And so I'm going to scroll back through here. So I want to say again, I did put the link at the head of this if you want to have a look at one of our sessions. And I'll be going live across all platforms all through the weekend. So keep your eyes peeled. And I am just looking back now to see if there's any questions that have been posted here on the live session. So if you are listening to the replay of this, you can't ask questions now, right? So we have lots of people on here that have already enrolled, and lots of folks that have posted their sunflower emoji. And so Robin posted a myth: I will never make it with zinnias. I'm not sure what you're actually saying, Robin, but let me just tell you this. Zinnias have been the #1 in our top 5 sellers for 23 years across the board. Our commercial customers, our farmers market customers, and our supermarket customers. And when you grow top quality, long-lasting zinnias, they knock people's socks off. So yes, that is definitely a myth, because people will say you have to grow so I call the crops that you begin to grow after you get some of this equipment that you need, like coolers or perhaps a hoop house. But things like lilies and tulips, which I call high investment, high risk crops. I say high risk because until you really know what you're doing and you have a bunch of customers and you know how to sell to them, the high risk that you're going to lose your butt is really high financially. And I hear people saying, oh, you have to grow all those things. Friends, I'm here to tell you that 23 years in, I'm still not growing most of those things. I'm growing the simple, basic annuals that bring in the most cash for us. So yes, that is definitely a myth. So I'm so glad to see so many people enrolled. Oh, thank you so much. Lots of affirmations. I told a county extension farming class what I made per square foot growing laughter. They were all shocked. I grow in a 40-foot circle. Yeah, people really don't they don't understand the value of flowers as a cash crop, and people just don't know about it. And so, yeah, you have to really educate. I married into a big farming family, and they didn't get it either. They do now. All right, friends, so I'm looking to see if we have any questions or any myths here. Can you share pics of your seed starter room? I was in my seed starter room on an Instagram live this morning, so I do go in there often. And that is something that I talk about in a lot of my lives. So you just need to hook up with me on one of those. So friends, I'm sorry, I'm just looking through all the feed of people. Thank you all so much for your commenting. I've been bootstrapping for the last year. And that's how, I am a big believer in not going into debt, to start with some cash, get started, and you literally, I started with seeds, a shovel, a wheelbarrow, and a tiller. I'm telling you, and got started making a little bit of money to buy other stuff. You can do it that way. I find that when we have a lot of disposable cash available to us, it is really easy to overspend. And this is what I want to say about this, y'all. First off, I talk about this in flower farming school. Do you know how many people get into this having no clue what it's about, right? They make the investment, and guess what? After a year or two, they've decided they don't even want to be, that flower farming is not what they want to be. And you've invested this money. You do not have to make that mistake. And so you just have to have the right steps and a little bit of guidance, and you can really do this and make up your mind which way that you want to go. So we have just lots of our students. Is there a specific Facebook group for the course where you ask questions? So Ruth, in the course, our actual Q&A sessions are not in Facebook at all. They're on Zoom, a private platform, because literally about 50% of our students don't ever choose to become a part of the closed Facebook groups. They aren't Facebook users, is what I'm saying to you. So we have our Q&As on a private platform so that everybody can partake in them. But we do also provide a private Facebook group for each course, excuse me, for each school when it's in session, where your instructor is in there. And yes, you can ask questions in there, and that's where you post your questions for the Q&A. But even after school, something that's unique about our course is even after school is over, folks that are in those active school groups are automatically dumped into what we call our alumni group for that school. So you get put in with all of my previous students. And let me just tell y'all about what a supportive community that is. First off, you're in there with a bunch of people that have the same skin in the game as you do. You know, they've made an investment, they're serious, they want to really do this. And I explain it to people like this. It's like being a member of the ant family. I mean, ants like the bugs. When one person has a problem, all the other ants come and lift you up, whether it's with information, help, recommendations, or to just commiserate with you. So yeah, there is a Facebook group for that, but the Q&As are actually in Zoom, and then all the Q&As are recorded and actually added to your online course library. And we have upgraded those this year, where they are organized in a way that people can search them. So we're really stoked about that improvement in our courses, so students can really search them much easier to find the answer to their questions if they weren't able to get actually started. Tina here, once you purchase the class, you are sent a link to her course group. Yeah, so Tina is one of our students. Thank you, Tina, so much for chiming in. Something that we have asked our students to do is to reach out on social media and to identify themselves. And please reach out to any of our students and ask them what their experience is and what they think about that. So we have so many people that have said they've signed up, and thank you guys. I am so very excited for all that. And school starts. Yeah, and Wanda's reminded us that the cost to take your courses are all tax deductible. And so there's a lot of our students on here just affirming and sharing. And so many of you that signed up, I'm just so happy you're all here. Thank you so much. Game changer. Brittany has can you be profitable without doing teaching, workshops, etc., just selling flowers? Yes, you definitely can. But I will tell you, Britta, that a lot of people can't focus on just doing that. Sometimes people want to evolve to add other, we call them value-added products. But yes, you can definitely be profitable if you do like we talked about earlier. Don't get overburdened with buying stuff before you even figure out, do you really need it? I can tell you that, I can tell you some stories about that. But yes, you can get in for a low investment to create income and then find your niche market where people start, they overspend. So a business is like, the point of a business is to make a profit, and that means you're to bring in more money than you spend, right? And that spending part, people overbuy on seeds, they start buying high, bulbs and things that if you're not going to put in more time to make more money or to hire help or to go to the next level, you're never going to recoup. So yes, I definitely say you can definitely make money and by just selling flowers. And thank you all so much from, cheers from Spain. Yeah, we do have students from all over the world that take our courses. I'm a Ranunculus fanatic, and I've never heard you say anything about them. They are considered cool flowers. Any advice? They are not cool flowers. I mean, we call cool flowers plants that are cool season hardy annuals. Ranunculus is actually a bulb crop, and I do not grow them because they're a lot of work unless you have a hoop house, and I don't have a hoop house. And that lot of work takes the profitability out of it for me. That is just not a crop that I have ever needed. They're gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of crops that I could have grown. I could sell them all to my florists. They'd buy them all, dahlias, lilies. I grew lilies for years but stopped. But you start figuring out how much work do you want to put in to make the profit. I can sell more sunflowers and make more money than spending a lot of money investing in bulb investments. You know, in my conditions, I'm in the middle of the city. I can't have a deer fence. I can't have a hoop house. So you figure it out. And that's the part that a lot of people miss. You don't have to grow all that stuff. But if you do, that's wonderful. That's your niche. That's not mine. All right, friends. So I am going to pop off here. So Marissa is asking, any advice in the course for growing flowers on hot climates? Few rain, so she's in the southeastern Spain. Marissa, what my course, and literally I'm going to speak of this for all of our courses, we don't give you specific for our region for where the instructor is. We try to kind of give you the equation to figure out when to plant something for where you are, meaning based off your frost dates and how to, whether it's irrigation or what varieties thrive in heat. So yes, and any specific questions you would have that aren't answered in the course, you just ask those at the Q&A sessions each week, and I am happy to answer those for you. I've had students in South Africa and in South America, both in very hot regions. So, all right, friends, so we're going to get off here. Courtney, wanting to start a cut flower business. I'm here in Victoria, Australia. Consider signing up for your course. We have a lot of Australian students, and one of the things that you can do as soon as the course starts and those private groups you have access to the school group and then alumni, is you can do a shout out and say, hey, who else is, from Australia? And we definitely have students in Australia also, past students. All right, friends, it is time to jump off here. I just want to remind everybody, be sure to grab that free peek inside the course. The request is at the head of this. And friends, I just invite you, if you want to start a business or hit the reset button on your existing business because maybe you're overwhelmed or not making a profit or flat sales or you're overcome with weeds, those are all the kind of things we help you to figure out and manage. So friends, I'd love to see you in school. And for those of you that have already signed up, can't wait to see you in Flower Farming School. Check it out at thegardenersworkshop.com. And friends, till we meet again, ciao.